There's a huge mountain every day that I climb because of the service that I sacrifice for all of our freedoms. I don't want to give that away without a fight. Some people don't have the value, so they don't get mad. They believe what's being told to them. And so to say that I owe you an apology because of the color of my skin, you're out of your mind, man. I'm getting a little fired up, so I'm going to take a break.
This is a sad statement, I think, but how can we ever come back together with those when the key difference between us is our belief in God, when that informs everything else, and they don't, and so that informs everything else, and those are very divergent. Once that key component is gone, well, it kind of opens up the door for people. Talk about Christians being terrible people because they need a God to keep them in line, but no, man, we just understand how evil our hearts are. Like, I understand that if I didn't have God and I didn't know there's accountability for all the evil in my heart, man, I would be a hater. But I might not be, because then the devil's already got me, you know? The enemy's already got me, so why would he bother peppering me with hate? But
it's money. I mean, that's logical, too.
Yeah, right?
It's, you know, yeah.
So how does that go with Romans 13?
I don't know what the Romans 13 says.
Let me bust it out right quick. Romans 13. This is a hard one, man. All of you must obey those who rule over you. There are no authorities except the ones God has chosen. Those now rule have been chosen by God. So whoever opposes the authorities opposes leaders whom God has appointed.
So the law of the land the law of God isn't the law of the land. So if leadership comes in and says, we are now making it a law that your firstborn must be killed. You know, at what point does forcing a mask lead down the logical path of all the other freedoms? Some people say it's just a mask. But every law ends in your death. Just a mask, here's a $1,000 fine. You don't have to wear the mask, but here's another fine. I'm not paying the fine. You're going to go to court. I'm not going to court. Well, contempt of court or whatever charges are going to trump up next. It goes down and goes down. How long do you have to flee before the law takes your life? That's why it's important to vote, because these laws is just a mask it inevitably can lead to, and we have examples in the world where they're, China, North Korea. I don't want to live like that. I didn't fight for that. I'm going to get into details about things that I go through, but there's an obstacle. There's a huge mountain every day that I climb because of the service that I sacrifice for all of our freedoms. I don't want to give that away without a fight. Some people don't have the value, so they don't get mad. They believe what's being told to them. And then you have this gentleman here, Barton, he's coming in. He's just, hey, here's the truth. It's true, not because I said it. It's true because you can follow that chain of custody. It's true, exactly. It's true because it's reality. I'm thankful that I received the truth, because that makes me really, really happy and even more passionately, righteously angered when someone violates my freedom, when someone says, hey, we want money because we were slaves. Like, how far back do you go? What if you're mixed? There's so many more questions than that. And what did I do wrong? Because I'm white privilege, white guilt, call it what you want. I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything to you. In fact, we did what we did in the military for you. And so to say that I owe you an apology because of the color of my skin, you're out of your mind, man. I'm getting a little fired up, so I'm going to take a break.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not playing devil's advocate. I'm just talking about, when I read Romans 13, it's confusing. Because obviously there's a clear delineation between obeying God's law and obeying man's law. For instance, it was against the law for Jesus and the disciples to go pick grain and to not obey the Sabbath, right? And they broke that because that was a God's law issue, right? And then, but then I think about the church, how it was persecuted, like violently persecuted during Paul's time when Paul was writing that letter. We're talking fed to the lions. We're talking human torches, and they wanted to revolt. Like, the Christians wanted to come together as a political group and fight back. And Paul was like, no, you cannot. And so I think, how bad is not revolting again? Because can you imagine if Trump grabs people up and put them in a lion's den? There'd be war.
Valid point.
There'd be
That's
war.
An extremely valid point.
So it's very confusing, So the only thing I can think of is when there's a clear violation. And I tell you what, man, the government telling you when you can and can't worship, that's a violation of God's law.
Perfect. So the question becomes, what do we agree to be what God's law is?
Yeah.
So that's the question.
Wherever there's clear biblical...
Absolutely. If there's biblical... Absolutely. You can make inference all day long, but that's what the other side's doing. Let's infer without fact. Now, let's infer with fact, and I can back it up in the scripture. And then it becomes...
Like David Barton does?
That's exactly right.
So it all comes back, doesn't it,
brother?
Thank you all so much for watching. Please consider catching the full video by following this here card. Also, if you don't mind, consider subscribing and liking this video. It really, really helps out the channel. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.